ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's time for Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Yo, what's up, Montana? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Some golf talk, plenty of football talk, both Big Sky Conference and NFL coming your way today. We also have Carolyn, the chick who doesn't know sports, and we'll have our latest senior spotlight as well. So it should be a fun show. We appreciate you for hanging out with us here on this Friday. Good things kicked off with Brooks Nuanez, talking all things football and a little bit of golf here as well. If you want to stream the show, you always can, 1029ESPN.com. You can also find us on the ESPN MT app and on YouTube and on Facebook. Do us a favor, do yourself a favor, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click on the subscribe button when you're there on the ESPN MT YouTube channel. It helps us, it helps you. It'll give you some alerts when the show is coming up or when the show is finished and it's been archived so you can watch it again. And it's a good way for us to track along and see who's tuning in on the YouTube. So please subscribe if you can and if you would. If you want to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Shoot us a text. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We're going to get into the NFL here in just a minute, Brooks. First of all, thanks for being here. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, football season's coming in hot.
So here's a good tweet for you. This just hit the Twitter timeline. It's from Weber State football, but it's about Cam Higgins. Cameron Higgins was the great Weber State quarterback in the late 2000s. I think about guys like Cameron Higgins at schools like Weber State so often now, given the landscape.
Oh, this guy would play in the Big Ten.
That's what I mean, is recruiting has become so sophisticated now. Does that guy even fall through the cracks to get to Weber?
There's no chance.
And if he does, though, the moment that he then throws for like 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns when he's a sophomore, he's just gone.
He's completely out. Yeah, that time is come and gone. Maybe, unfortunately, it just depends on your perspective of the whole landscape. But I do think that a guy like Cameron Higgins, phenomenal player, would have found his way to the FBS kind of right out of high school. He's got the size and the ability. Size, ability, athleticism, all of that. I mean, he's getting inducted to the Weber State Hall of Fame. That's why they're tweeting about him. But if you don't remember, Cam Higgins was at Weber State 2006 through 2010. He threw for 12,274 yards and 98 touchdowns. This is no shade to Weber State. Is that a little late? 15, 16 years.
I mean, he is the second greatest quarterback in their program's history. The only guy that supersedes him is Jamie Martin, who won the Walter Payton Award way back in, I think, 1991 or 1992. But yeah, I mean, Cam Higgins is he's an all-time great quarterback in the history of the league. I mean, it seems like it's a little late. It's been 17 years since he was at the peak of his powers. But the thing I will always remember Cam Higgins for is that when I was in college at the University of Montana, the Grizz basically ran the table in the Big Sky Conference. They went undefeated except one loss. They went 31-1 when I was in school in the Big Sky. And their one loss was at Weber State, and Cam Higgins went nuts that day. That Weber team shared the league title with Montana. Montana at that moment had I think, won 13 Big Sky titles in a row. I used to have that shirt that one of our Grizz buddies gave to us. It said, "Do the math," and I just had 12 trophies on the back. It was when they were working on the 13th in a row. But that Weber team was the one team that was able to sort of be on par with the Grizz for a couple years. Of course, the Grizz got those guys back in the playoffs later on that year. They had to come to Missoula, and that was one of Cole Anderson's signature games. But fun memories. But again, I guess that's the good news for us as we sit here in Montana, is that the guys that are sort of that next level type of talent, especially at quarterback, I think are like, they have like an 80% chance of transferring up now if they go pretty much anywhere in the country in the FCS, except the Montana schools and the Dakota State schools, right? Like there's no reason Chase Mason isn't just playing in the Big Ten at South Dakota State, but he's still at South Dakota State because he just loves it there, right? There's no reason Kale Ayat's not playing at Cal or something, Stanford, one of those West Coast ACC schools, or I mean even like Oregon State or even Oregon. I mean, who knows? But they're not. They're playing at the school so maybe that's the silver lining for us in the sort of the premier FCS markets that also happen to be rural places where people just love football.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, but I also at some point anticipate a trend of FBS guys dropping down, like the Justin Lamsons of the world at Montana State, and finding a better fit, more playing time. I don't see how that hasn't been really prevalent, especially in the Big Sky.
Right.
I mean, there's been some guys, I think NAU may have had a guy recently that had a little experience, but Idaho State, Idaho, these should be FBS drop-down spots, but now everyone's going so lateral because there's so much money no matter if you're playing or not.
Sure.
I still think that the Justin Lamson story should not be an outlier, but it seems to be at this moment. Some players and schools should take note because you could have a little bit of success like he's had over in Bozeman.
Well, anybody that's grumbling about transferring, I'd always remind you that quarterbacks are different than every other position because you can go and make your way and get in the mix and play a lot without being a bona fide starter at basically every position on a football field except quarterback. Like some schools rotate quarterbacks, I guess, but that's sort of a fool's errand and not the way you should do it and not the way most teams do it. So the point being is, like, we've seen some of the best quarterbacks in the country transfer because they need a better fit because there's another guy that's right there. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP. He transferred because he had Tua Tagovailoa biting at his heels, right? Joe Burrow transferred. Baker Mayfield transferred. So, I mean, some of the best guys in the world transferred because they had another guy standing in their way or maybe the fit was wrong. But I agree with you. I think that would also be an alluring thing for people to come to the Big Sky or come to the FCS is that maybe there's not another guy that's standing in your way. You can just go be the guy and produce, and like that's going to be your ticket to ride. That's going to be your resume at the next level.
Yeah, and the players have an issue in today's age with wanting to go pro. Every guy, you're only going to take 6-7 quarterbacks per draft, maybe 10 at the most. At the most. And so I think that it's more about the experience, about the playing time, about the production. That's just me. I think that everyone has a different path, and I could see the FCS. I don't see why you wouldn't find a nice landings, a place to land like Montana State, and then look, you can go win a national championship.
Well, as now tonight, ESPN Radio. Last thought on this: the pendulum in football has always swung back and forth. But I find it really interesting, especially when you talk about the FCS and the Big Sky, that the pendulum was cranked all the way to the max in the Big Sky for like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s in terms of passing offenses. Some of the most prolific passing offenses in all of college football were in the Big Sky. That was spearheaded by Don Reed and his air raid offense at Montana. But then certainly, Eastern Washington for 20 years was throwing it all over the place. That's like not really a thing now. The only team in the league that's doing it is Idaho State. Everybody else is just like balanced, even if they're slightly skewed one way or the other.
Montana chucks it around.
Montana chucked it around last year for sure.
They sure did.
But they still run the ball a lot.
Yeah, they had all the offense last year.
They had all the offense, exactly. But if you go look at the Don Reed Grizz statistics, they're hilarious, man.
Thing, yeah.
I mean, like Kelly Stensrud, who was I know he's a loyal listener to this show. Shout out Kelly if you're listening. He was the running back on the 95 Grizz. He rushed for like 200 yards, but he had like 900 yards receiving because he caught like 50 passes.
Yeah, they're throwing it 50 times a game.
Well, I mean, the Grizz of old were throwing it like 70 times a game. Like they weren't even pretending to, because they would just throw those bubble screens to Shalon Baker and Nate Dolan and Matt Wells and all those little slot receivers, and that was like the extension of their run game. I just wonder. I've just always found it fascinating that almost everybody that has a foundation to stand upon has this sort of consensus been like, okay, to beat the best, we got to be the best, and we got to beat them at their own game. I just think that's really interesting.
We've talked about that. You don't have to be like that. You could be unique and just mix it up.
I actually wonder if Montana State goes that way a little bit more this year. They still have Adam Jones, but they don't have Adam Jones benefited so much from having a power back to play with him. And you can still get him his 20 touches, but I think he'd be best served giving him like 12 to 15 carries and then another 5 to 7 catches because he's so good in open space. But I think that Pete Sturbeck kind of actually struggled with it a little bit last year early because he was trying to form his offensive identity to what Montana State does offensively. But the fans are up in the stands being like, wait, don't we run the ball for 400 yards every game? What is this balance? And then they figured it out when they had that big game against Idaho State. Jones rushed for like 175, and they rushed for like 300, and it was like back to just being bully ball. And then they also implemented all the passing elements. But I just wonder with a quarterback in his second year in the system if maybe Montana State spreads it out and throws it a little bit more too.
Yeah, I would think it would be such a smart move to even just evolve year to year a little bit and not have to have this constant identity, especially when you're trying to beat teams that maybe, do have it in the trenches up front, the South Dakota States of the world, who have become more balanced. I do think that Montana State would benefit from becoming a little bit more balanced. And as you mentioned, they did do it last year, but it was an efficiency thing that made them so balanced.
Sure.
Justin Lamson wasn't throwing it 35 times a game. No. He was just so efficient. He was going, 16 for 19.
Yeah.
All of that leads to a feel of balance, but you're still running the ball over an overwhelming amount of times. I don't know why you would necessarily get away from that, except in the fact that Justin Lamson comes back a little bit more experienced, put the car keys in his hand, right?
Well, now you have so many weapons on the outside, too. Come back to the Big Sky Conference. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. But Brooks will be joining us weekly here throughout the football season to talk all things NFL. And the entry point will largely be from a sports betting perspective. The preseason odds, over-under win totals have not dropped yet. So we will have our annual division-by-division over-under win totals where we're guessing them, breaking down the divisions, and picking our over-under win totals. And we'll have all those for you all throughout the month of August. But a couple of the preseason futures are out on Sportsbet Montana. We appreciate Sportsbet Montana for their continued engagement of what we got going on here, especially when it comes to talking NFL. And the Super Bowl preseason odds are out. The Los Angeles Rams are the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl. They are 5-1. The Bills are next at plus 950, so that's 9.5 to 1. Then the Baltimore Ravens are third with a brand new head coach. Baltimore Ravens are third at plus 1,000, so that's 10 to 1. Then the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks are fourth at plus 1050. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, who didn't even make the playoffs last year, went 6-11. They are tied for fifth with the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers. All three of those teams are plus 1,500. The top 10 is then rounded out by the Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, San Francisco 49ers are all at 17 to 1 odds. First of all, your reaction to the Los Angeles Rams having basically twice as good of odds as anybody else in the NFL to win the Super Bowl.
Very interesting. I mean, the Myles Garrett trade is going to obviously influence this line.
No doubt.
I think that this, like we talk a lot about on this show and on this segment, we have to remember that these lines are influenced by public perception and where the money goes. So I don't think that this says that the Rams are 2 times a favorite. I think it says that the betting line, the betting odds, the betting money influx will lean towards the Rams 2 times more than any other team.
Yes.
I think it's probably closer to maybe 750,
Sure.
Plus 750 more than plus 500. So then you put the Bills at, plus 900. I think it's more in that range as far as the variance goes there. I'm surprised that the Seahawks aren't above the Ravens and the Bills. I guess maybe that division is going to be challenging. Maybe they think that the AFC North with the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bengals and the lowly Browns, maybe they think that the Ravens have an advantage in that division. Same with the Bills there. But, I do like the Rams as the favorite. Older quarterback, but you upgrade on defense. You bring back all the weapons. You assume that a guy like Puka Nacua continues to take those steps forward of being one of the best receivers in the NFL. Jared Verse is an awesome player that they traded away to Cleveland, but I do think that Myles Garrett is probably one of the 5 best defensive players of all time. Yeah. And he's definitely the best defensive pass rusher of his generation by a mile. I went through this yesterday with our producer Hayden, and when you're talking about his competition of Micah Parsons and TJ Watt, like there's not even close what Myles Garrett can bring to a team. I told you this stat during the offseason, Colter, that Myles Garrett on the Cleveland Browns during his tenure there, during his entire time, guess how many snaps he took where the Browns were up by a touchdown?
It's something ridiculous. It's like 8 or something.
Eight different possessions.
Yeah, 8 possessions.
8 possessions. 8 series where he went on the field and the Browns were up by 7 or more points. 8 times.
It's crazy.
Ever. So you got to assume that a guy like that's going to be able to influence a team that's already built and ready to win.
What do you think of just the sort of the hubbub around that trade? It is one of those rare trades in NFL history where, like, the only way it possibly lives up to the hype that people are giving it is if Myles Garrett is as good as he was a year ago. And last year he had the greatest pass rushing season in the history of the NFL. The only trade that's comparable to it is the Reggie White trade to the Packers.
Right. I think that's a great comp.
Like, you have, like, anything besides winning the Super Bowl, going away, and Myles Garrett being the outright unanimous NFL Defensive Player of the Year is like a failure. Not a failure. It's like the trade didn't live up to its hype. I just can't believe how hyped it is. I can, though, because he is so good.
I think that the Reggie White trade is a great comp. I don't know where there's a world where Myles Garrett doesn't live up to the hype.
Right.
He's never not lived up to the hype a day in his life since he was 14 years old.
I mean, he's been the most hyped player of the modern era. I mean, there's only 2 guys in the 21st century that have had as much hype as Myles Garrett. It's Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. That's it in terms of defensive guys.
And Jadeveon Clowney had flashes, but it was early on that Jadeveon Clowney wasn't going to be a generational guy. He's been he's been a journeyman, a long-year NFL vet that I think is honestly an awesome player. But we're talking about Myles Garrett here. We're talking about the most talented pass rusher of all time. We'll see where the stats end up.
Yeah,
you got the Bruce Smiths of the world. You got guys that put up these.
I mean, it's Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, and Myles Garrett. That's the Mount Rushmore of sack artists in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and I would say that if you talk about just straight up eye test and the physicality and the ability to win, I don't know, man, if he's not the best. I think it would be hard to say he's not.
Clowney, Brooks Nuanez here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Clowney is exactly what I'm talking about, though. He was a victim of his own hype. He had the viral...
Because he's had like 7-8 sacks for his whole career.
I mean, he went viral at South Carolina with that unbelievable hit into a strips forced fumble recovery, where he just looked like an avatar. He looked like a superhuman when he made that play. And he's number 1 overall pick. And his rookie year, he only got to play 2 games and he didn't have any sacks. But since then, I mean, he's got 66.5 sacks in his career. He's working on, this will be his 12th NFL season. He's been a Pro Bowler 4 times, but he isn't one of the greatest players of his generation. He's just a very good player, and I think that being a victim of his own hype. So I hope that Myles Garrett and this trade does not make him a victim of his own hype as well. What do you think of the dynamic of him being in a big market? Does that even matter anymore? But one of the only places in the NFL anymore that you can actually hide is Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he has been a little bit of an enigma in that sense of not being a super public figure. He's had times where he's flashed a little bit or wanted to get on the mic and say something, but that's just not really his style. So a bigger market, I think that he'll probably lean into it and actually have an experience for the first time in maybe his career where he is treated like an absolute star. I think that when you have the prowess that he has on the field with physical traits, you want that respect to everywhere in your life. I don't think that he's ever felt that. I don't know how he felt at College Station at Texas A&M in college. I think that's a pretty small town. I mean, obviously they get plenty of media coverage.
Sure, but
the SEC, there's a lot of teams, a lot of guys. You may not be the dude. He's going to go to LA in probably the shiniest market in the NFL and be that guy. And I think that I would be surprised if we didn't see him open up his personality and really kind of put on the sunglasses and put on the boa and play that little WWF wrestler persona. I could see it absolutely happening.
It's going to be fun to watch, certainly. And it's just, I usually gravitate away from the big market teams for whatever reason. But it's just really hard to not like the Rams, man. Like this, with what they got going. I've always loved Matt Stafford. I mean, you can't help but respect Sean McVay, and just on down the line. I still was sort of surprised that they were the betting favorite, though, even given this acquisition.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have said just like I would have said the Rams, but I would have said it's very tight with the Seahawks.
Right.
And I would have said that the Bills and the Ravens are then distanced third and fourth.
Well, it's just also interesting, like how much a season can change based on like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 plays or bounces or whatever, right? The Rams and the Seahawks went down to the wire, both their regular season games, and then they played in the playoffs again. And all of those were like nip and tuck. The Rams win 2 out of 3 of those, including in the playoffs, and they probably are the ones that are the defending Super Bowl champions. And then they go make this trade, and now, wow, you're talking about a real deal, bona fide chance to repeat. Whereas then they don't win those games, and then the Seahawks are the ones that get all the spoils. And it's just interesting. What do you think of just the prospects of the Seahawks having to deal with a Super Bowl hangover? And do you believe that's a real thing in the NFL?
I do believe it's a real thing as far as, different tiers of players are now going to want different outcomes for themselves during the season.
Right.
You kind of get, I'm that guy, right? I want to be this dude. I think Mike McDonald has a really good hold on the culture in Seattle. I think he's implemented a pretty good one. I love his reactions to around the league questions. When he's the kind of guy that's like, I don't know what you're asking me. I could care less. I actually believe him. Right. Some guys say that. I'm like, that you thought about this. I don't think he does.
Right.
I think that he is positioned in Seattle in the top little left corner of America, where they're insulated enough in that in their market, which is a plenty big market, but it's not New York, it's not LA.
Sure.
And I think that there's enough of a fan interaction, or rather a fan engagement, that there's enough backing in Seattle that he doesn't have to take as much pressure for some of the negatives that may be happening, that there's kind of a little bit of blind support there for a team that,
no question,
that has had a lot of support throughout the years, but right now will have more support than ever. So I think he's got a little bit more rope there. So of any of the teams in the NFL or the markets in the NFL, I think Seattle's probably built the best to not have that hangover.
Well, and also the fact that it's just such a well-run organization.
It really is.
And they've been able to sort of remake themselves multiple times over and really never miss a beat, right? Like the Seattle Seahawks were just lost in the land of mediocrity forever. And then once they hired Mike Holmgren and started to build it a little bit, they've been good to great pretty much ever since. And then, of course, Pete Carroll took it up another notch by winning a Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden now Mike McDonald gets that. And they've just been pretty solid across the board pretty much the entire duration of the 21st century. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, our NFL conversations, probably presented by Sportsbet Montana. If you want to see these NFL futures odds for Super Bowl favorites and conference favorites, check out the Sportsbet Montana app or log on to the Sportsbet Montana website. What's the case for the Ravens? Like how is a team that basically lost a play-in game the last week of the regular season last year to a pretty average Steelers team, missed the playoffs, had their head coach get fired after 14 years at the helm? What's the case for them to be the third betting favorite for the Super Bowl and the second betting favorite in their conference behind the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I'm looking right now at just rankings of the top rosters in the NFL, and I'll tell you this: I mean, the Ravens have plenty here. It's a good team.
It's good. It is a good team. They've been in the top 7, even 5.
When I'm looking at these rosters, they're ranked Rams, Eagles, Seahawks, and Bills, and then you got the Ravens 5th. I'll tell you one thing: those 4 teams. There's one thing that does not look like the Ravens. It's those 4 teams.
Sure.
Like these rosters are insane.
I also think of like the 49ers, I think, have a comparable roster to the Ravens. I mean, the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to take a big step back this year, but I still think they're going to be a really good team. But I guess it all just matters. It's a matter of how much do you believe in Lamar Jackson? Like, how much does he put you over the top?
And isn't Lamar Jackson who we think he is?
Right, and that's what I'm getting at is like, again, I think the Ravens are pretty good, but there doesn't seem to be that much difference to me between the Ravens and the Chargers and the Broncos and the Patriots and the 49ers and the Texans. Like I'd take the Texans,
the Packers.
I'd take the Texans across the board against the Ravens, except for Lamar Jackson versus C.J. Stroud. But I don't know if that's that far away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Baltimore has up front on defense. I mean, they add Trey Hendrickson, which is a nice pickup.
That's worth remembering.
They drafted Mike Green out of Marshall, who is the most explosive player in the draft, who would have gone in the top 10, but had character issues, so went in the second round. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mike Green is the best ankle bend and shoulder lean I've seen in years. I mean, I think he's an absolute problem. You have Roquan Smith, who's still one of the best inside linebackers in the league, and then you have Kyle Hamilton, who's arguably the best safety. So you have plenty on defense.
Totally.
It's the offensive line that I have an issue with. Ronnie Staley's fine.
They haven't had a bad offensive line for 20 years, so that's a new thing.
This isn't bad, but there's 3 guys I'm looking at that I don't know who they are.
And that's not good.
When I talked about those other top 4 teams, I know every single guy on the offensive line is. So, yeah, I agree with you. After those top 4, it really falls into a whole different category where I completely think that the Patriots, Packers, Texans, Broncos could be on par, exactly the same as each other. Like they're all 10-7, 11-6 teams that could absolutely make a run in the playoffs.
And then it's all going to come down to all these other things too, right? Like the momentum within the franchise, the ability to handle distractions, the luck, the injuries, all the things that are going to play a factor outside of the actual quality of your roster as well. So that's going to be really interesting to follow too. But I think the Ravens are pretty good, but I think that they're like pretty on par with like pretty much everybody else that you'd say is
a playoff team.
A playoff team, right? I mean, all the playoff contenders. Like Green Bay is 11th in the betting odds. I don't see that much difference between Green Bay and Baltimore.
I agree with you.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
San Francisco.
Know how I feel about San Francisco.
San Francisco, their best days may be behind them.
I just can't see it, man. I haven't been able to see it for years.
Yeah, I mean, and how much juice? They have so many recognizable names, but every single one of those recognizable names is just a year older every year. So yeah, how do you get the best out of them? I'm not sure. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez, Brooks Nuanez kicking it here on this Friday. Take a break, come back. Talk a little bit more NFL and some Big Sky Conference football storylines as well. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A former Grizzly who wore Montana's legendary number 37 is returning home to lead a high school program. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Ryan Featherston has been named the head boys wrestling coach at East Helena High School. Although East Helena didn't have his own high school when Featherston was growing up, he starred as a three-sport athlete at Helena High before signing with the Grizzlies in 2007. He went on to play in more than 50 games at Montana and, while wearing the vaunted number 37 during the 2010 and 2011 seasons, recorded 17.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. Last season, Tim Baird served as the head coach for both the boys and girls wrestling programs at East Helena. Baird will remain as the head coach of the girls team, while Featherston will take over the boys program. Featherston is one of 5 Helena area natives to earn the honor of wearing number 37, joining Helena Capital product Jason Crebo, Caleb Kidder, and Marcus Wellnell, along with Helena High School graduate Andy Pettick. He also becomes one of 2 former number 37s on the East Helena coaching staff. Carson Bender, a Deer Lodge native who wore the jersey before passing it to Featherston in 2010, is the Vigilantes head girls basketball coach. The number 37 tradition began in 1986 when Craig Paulson passed the jersey to Tim Howe. Decades later, both men returned to Montana to coach for the Grizzlies, helping cement one of the program's most celebrated traditions.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. You're listening to Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio. Grizzly Disposal has construction roll-off boxes for your construction project. Don't wait days or even weeks. Grizzly Disposal has them in stock. Then get them to you fast. Give them a call. They'll turn it around within 24 hours. 541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Or visit GrizzlyDisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. One more. I don't want to get too far into the division stuff or over-under win totals because we're going to do that for the 4 or 5 weeks leading up to when the NFL season starts, probably starting the week after next. So stay tuned for that. But we have to give one more shout to our good friends at Sportsbet Montana. And one of the most striking futures odds on that that have just come out now on Sportsbet is in the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are the betting favorites in the AFC West.
Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. Just for our listeners, that's the AFC West.
So in order of betting favorites, it's Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos.
Wow.
The Broncos are plus 240 to
So
win.
you're saying the Raiders are fourth?
Raiders are going to be in fourth for the rest of time, I think.
Wow.
But the Broncos are the third betting favorite at plus 240.
Man.
It's just so interesting to me how much the book has not bought into the Broncos the last couple of years. I thought that the easiest bet on the board last year, and the one I made the absolute most money on, was the Broncos over 9.5 wins. They blew that out of the water. Now, there is the argument that one-score games always regress to the mean. I mean, the Broncos won twice last year without leading in the game for 1 second, except for when the clock read 0, right? They had that other crazy game against Carolina, where it was like just absolutely bonkers down the stretch. So maybe they regress to the mean. But still, given how bad the Chiefs were last year, and given just the ups and downs of the Chargers, just sort of inevitably, seemingly always, I don't know. I just think that's maybe a spicy bet. I think the Broncos are still nasty on defense. I think they're really good up front on offense. But do you think that that's just indicative of just not having much faith in Bo Nix? Or where do you land on with why the Broncos maybe are sort of on the outside looking in within their division and within the betting favorites for the Super Bowl.
I think that's absolutely wild. I love the Broncos, and they brought back darn near everything, including one of the best secondaries in the league, a great pass rush. Nick Benito is the most underrated defensive player in the NFL. I mean, I think Nick Benito is a top 5 pass rusher. I've read things that, experts, executives, GMs call him the most explosive guy off the edge in the league. And then you have good skill players. You bring back 4 or 5 good wide receivers, a good tight end crew, and a nice offensive line, being able to run the football. The only thing that would play to that is, that number is smaller than, you said it's plus 240, and the Chiefs are what, minus 115, something like that?
I think plus 120.
Yeah, so it's pretty tight odds there. Bo Nix, the issue would be, which I have seen some things out there, some pictures of him on a boat, so you're zooming in on his leg and maybe a little atrophy on the calf. If he has an issue with that leg, with that ankle, then you're talking about a whole different ballgame, because Bo Nix has so much juice. He took that team to heights last year with his leadership. He's a gamer. You don't win all those one-score games without having a gamer at the helm. You don't just
and the guy that has continuity with the coach, and Sean Payton, for all of his flaws, is an excellent coach, and I think that also is what helped them be so good in those close games.
Absolutely, but there's just no way that Patrick Mahomes is going to come back with more mobility now after that terrible knee injury.
Totally. Kansas City plus 170. I misremembered. Plus 170 for the Chiefs to win the AFC West. Chargers are at plus 185, and the Broncos are at plus 210.
Wow. The Broncos have the best roster out of those 3 teams. I love the Chargers, but I'm a little bit biased just because I like the infrastructure. I love Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I'm a touch of a, not blind spot, probably a little bit too much on the Chargers. One of those rare teams I just kind of like.
Sure.
But there's just no way you could say that the Broncos don't have a better roster.
Well,
both of those teams.
If you are a sports wagerer, I'd say if you don't think the Chiefs are going to be back in a big way, just go grab one of those other 2 teams, whoever you like better.
Absolutely.
That is one of the most wide open divisions. I think all 3 of those teams could be playoff teams this year, and that's assuming the Chiefs get back on track, because I think that the Broncos and the Chargers will almost definitely be playoff teams unless things go awry for them. So certainly going to be interesting to see how
the Chargers
reacts.
The Chargers went 11-6 last year with no tackles.
Right.
And they have Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, which you could say is a top 5 tackle pairing.
Rashawn Slater is the highest paid tackle in the league before he got hurt, or one of at least.
I would think one of the highest paid tackles of all time.
Yeah.
Which is now, that's just the standard for every contract. But I do think that the Chargers are built to win. If Justin Herbert can take that next step, which he's been, I feel like he's been in the level, in the category that he is for the last 5 years. He has not gone up or down, really. He got hurt a little bit, but otherwise he seems like a minus. If he can ever find it and just really go off, I don't see how they don't win that division, and they could make a deep run.
Yep. All right, let's talk some Big Sky Conference football. Big Sky kickoff coming up this week. We're leaving tomorrow to go head on over there to Media Days, so we'll have plenty of content coming out of that. The Montana schools are bringing 4 of the biggest stars in the state of Montana. The University of Montana is bringing Eli Gilman for their offensive representative, as well as Peyton Wing defensively. The Cats are bringing the Dowler brothers, Taco Dowler, Caden Dowler. And then, of course, their respective head coaches, Bobby Kennedy from Montana and Brent Began from Montana State. I did this segment on my own on Tuesday, but let me know what you think. First of all, let us know what you think. 406-888-1029 if you'd like to be a part of the show, and also let us know what you're wondering from some of the biggest stars in Montana. But Caden Dowler, I'm so interested in, because he is the reigning Big Sky Conference defensive MVP. He's had a career that's been filled with challenges, and yet he's continued to fight, and I think he's maxed himself out as much as maybe any player we've ever covered. What would you want to know from him going now into his senior year, his final year with the Cats?
Well, there's a whole variety of things. Off the record, I'd love to know how that injury was managed, because it's a pretty wild injury.
You mean the one that he actually battled through last year?
Yeah,
because he's done his knee twice.
Right,
but last year he had a shoulder of.
He broke his shoulder.
He broke his shoulder basically.
Yeah. That's it's a unique thing. Like most guys, they tear their labrum or they dislocate they do this or that or they break their collarbone. He broke his shoulder bone, which is crazy.
And he played through it. I mean, he
all the way to the Natty.
He played all the way through.
Crazy. And I don't, you don't ask people about injuries. I would love just to know how it was managed. Like, what is that? Is that just a simple surgery and you get it fixed up? Like, not to divulge that to anyone else in the public. I would just love to know that personally. But secondarily, I would love to know about him and Taco, about the leadership approach to keeping a team on track. Because there's going to be, we talked about this last year, there's going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And the Montana State team last year came out and went 0-2. And that was a real gut check, right? So a lot of people would say, well, we learned from that. Now we have more experience on how to go through adversity. I do think that's true. This is a new season, a new team. I'd love from a leadership perspective to know what their goals are for the team as far as their focus and how they're going to go about motivating guys throughout the year as two senior leaders that have, are the stars of the team.
Yeah, the motivational tactics or the motivational psychology behind athletes is one of the most interesting and fascinating parts of this job for me. And throughout all these years of covering this stuff, when you have almost made it to the mountaintop, but you haven't, that is one of the most tried and true motivational factors, right? You have a chip on your shoulder. You're trying to prove people wrong. If you're Caden Dow, you've been hurt. And you've shown these great flashes of how good you can be, but you haven't had a chance to actually have a full season to do it. But now you have. Now it's not you're proving anybody wrong. You did prove everybody wrong. You are the league player of the year. I think that if you asked the guys at Montana State who their best player is, they would say him. His brother would. Taco says it all the time. That Caden's the best player in the Big Sky. So from the the internal standpoint, the accolades standpoint, that it's right there, right? But I agree. How do you keep yourselves motivated? You've gotten over the top now. Nobody's doubting you anymore. Nobody's telling you can't do it. Nobody's telling you you're too small or too hurt or any of that stuff. You have proven it across the board. You are two of the brand name players in the league and in the country. How do you stay sharp? Like, that's the number one thing, I think, not just for those guys, for the Cats in general.
And if you don't remember, which it's probably hard to not remember, the last time Montana State was out playing football, the last 2 hours of their season, I wouldn't call the cleanest football I've ever seen.
No,
I wouldn't call that they burst through the finish line with the astounding win. Of
Maybe
course,
they did at the end, but
of course it was an insane game, and so much props to them. But also, there has to be this, of course, relief, but also man, we almost blew that. This year, now coming into it, we can't have a moment where we go and almost blow it again.
Totally.
Of course, you win a national championship. I'm not throwing shade here. It's just that at some point throughout the season, you might have a tipping point moment where you need to overcome a situation that you just almost blew just before. So I'd love to talk about that, that not only the motivation, but that leadership piece of how do we overcome that piece of the identity that we have.
Well, you also got to figure out a way to block out all the noise, too, because, exactly. Sam Herder, national analyst, Craig Haley, national analyst. Samuel Akim, Big Sky Conference and sort of burgeoning national analyst. Coulter Nuanez, statewide, Big Sky Conference analyst. I've heard verbatim everybody that knows this stuff better than anybody else say, well, the Cats are going undefeated.
Right, totally.
You have to block that out because you still got to go play all these teams, right? And you skip UC Davis during the league schedule. You get the Grizz at home, but you got to play Idaho on Friday night. You got to play NAU on a Saturday night and then turn around and play Idaho on the road on a Friday night. That is a short week with a short turnaround. That's just one of several examples, right? I mean, Jeff Choate yesterday said on the record he thinks that Nevada's going to go to the Mountain West Championship game. So the world thinks Nevada is a 2-10 team that has no ground to stand on. Choate thinks they're going to the championship game. It's probably somewhere in between there. But
you don't want Jeff Choate to be in that position.
And the world is assuming that they're just going to go to Nevada and just rout Montana State is going to go rout them. And it's just stuff just doesn't come that easy, right?
It sure doesn't.
So when you have speed bumps, and how do you block out all the noise? Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Brooks Nuanez kicking with us here on this Friday. We'll take one more break. Talk about the Grizz on the other side. Don't you dead down. Keep it right here.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
On 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio. Brooks Nuanez kicking it with us here from the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Thanks to our great friends at Red's Bar. Red's is it's a great sports bar, period, but it's an excellent baseball bar. If you're into the pennant race, you're into the who's winning what, who's going where, there's all sorts of great baseball fans that are down there watching the games, and you'll find various hats and various rooting fan bases, but also great conversations and people that really know what's going on. So if you need a cold one and want to watch some baseball, head on down to Red's Bar, located on Ryman Street in Missoula. Red's Bar, a Missoula institution. All right, we talked about the Dowler brothers in the last segment. Let's talk about the Grizz. What questions would you have for Eli Gilman coming into this Big Sky Conference kickoff, which starts this weekend in Spokane?
Man, just like all these players, so many things. But for Eli, I want to know, you mentioned this, Coulter, a little bit of his motivations for coming back.
Sure.
I want to see if we can get a Bobby Haukless Eli Gilman to talk about the stats.
Yeah, right.
To talk about the numbers and be like, here's the deal, man. This is what it looks like. Here's where you're at. You're climbing this Mount Rushmore. A lot of heralded guys that came before you. Not only how forward do you look to chase down some of those records, but also I want to hear a guy before this season goes talk about what it's like to go for 150-2 in Washington Grizz. What's that feel like?
Right.
What's it feel like to be the man like that? You've had a long time now of proving it, and I think nationally that you're on this level that not a lot of people are on. Arguably the best running back in the FCS and one of the better running backs in the country. What's that journey been like? What's it feel like to go off like that? What's it feel like to help your team win games like that? I'd love to hear more about just kind of the culmination of what this career has looked like. Of course, going in, you want to be a leader, you want to win, you want to do all the right things to play for your team. I would love to see if we could open up Eli a little bit and hear a little bit about his perspective of the career in totality so far.
Yeah, I'd also just love to know about, there's been this omnipresent narrative of like a collection of people, thousands and thousands of people that are Grizz Nation wondering, well, when is this going to end? Like, isn't this guy just going to leave? He's so good. How could he not leave? He's the most obviously good player the Grizz have ever had on offense, right? Like in terms of the day one. Like there's been guys, I'm not saying he's the best, and there's been guys, but he's one of the best. But there's been guys that have had great careers. But when Chase, no one was like, "Oh man, where's Chase Reynolds going?" His first couple of years at Montana, everybody was like, "Is this guy even going to be able to make it?"
Yeah, no doubt.
Mark Mariani was nothing. Like he became one of the greatest to ever do it in the Big Sky Conference. But Gilman, the first day you ever saw him, you're like, why is that guy here? He's going to be gone, right? The only place he's going now is the NFL. So that question doesn't exist anymore. How does that influence? I think it could just unburden his mind. Because how many times has he how many times has he been asked, like, are you staying? Are you going? Why did you stay?
So many times.
Like, how many times is he? I'm sure he gets asked that by Grizz fans every single time he talks to anybody in public. And he's out and about in the community all the time, man. He goes to
all over the place, man. He goes to every one of the former Justin Green, former running backs coach. He goes to all of his kids' stuff. I see him all over the place. I don't know Eli well. I watch people walk up to him and talk to him in public ad nauseum.
And everybody just asks you, why'd you stay? Why are you here? When are you leaving? And now he doesn't have to answer that.
Totally.
Because he's here.
Yep.
And that's it. And I just wonder if that just clears his mind to the absolute maximum. Because, I mean, he has been unreal, but I still think he has another gear. Knock on wood, he will, if he stays healthy, he's going to absolutely annihilate all the career rushing records. I want to know if he can go for the single season rushing record. Single season record, 1648
Jeez.
Is what it is. He was at 1560 last year.
Oh, wow.
So,
what a dog. My God.
So, but it's 1648.
That's a lot, man.
It's a lot, but it's in the cards, man. I mean, it's certainly in the cards. I also wonder, too, if 137 yards a game, that's a lot. But playoffs count.
Oh, okay.
So you get some extra games in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, then your money.
It's more like 100 yards a game.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like 120. Yeah, I mean, 100. If they went to the national semifinals, it'd be 115 yards a game. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, you averaged like 118 a game last year.
Yeah, if you can go for 200 2 or 3 times, then it really helps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. What about Peyton Wing?
Oh man,
talk about just the unveiling of Peyton Wing was on this show last year, and the interview lasted for like 2.5 minutes because he was so short with his answers. He came to 2 press conferences last year, and I bet you he didn't say 25 words total. Then we had him on the show this summer to promote his camp. 18 minutes worth of content, and he was just so gregarious and so fun to talk to. And I was like, oh man, talk about a coachable guy, because this guy literally was doing what he did last year to appease his new head coach and Bobby Houck, and now gloves are off. He was just being himself, and I thought it was great. It was so fun to get to know him a little bit and see his personality. So from a personal standpoint, I think it's safe to say he's pretty darn loose.
Yeah, another guy that you can't wait to see without Coach Houck around, which, again, we're not throwing shade. This is the facts. We all know how he ran things and the way that he wanted players to interact with media and the public in general. I'd love to hear about what Peyton Wing thinks about all the different defenses he's played in and how that shaped him as a player.
Yep.
And then also the positives and maybe some of the challenges with the last defense he played in. Talk about how fun it was, because he got to play with his hair on fire and run around crazy and hit people, get sacks, the whole thing. But also maybe what some of the challenges were, maybe where he's at now as far as the stability in a more base defense that has gaps and the classic football things. Those would all be things I want to know, as well as what is it like to play with a bunch of new, like last year they had no returning starters on defense.
Right.
This year it's also a lot of new guys.
Yeah.
What's it like to play with a bunch of new guys? And then how do you influence and lead guys in that situation? How do you go and grow and put a team on the field early in the season that's ready to play and bring the heat? I'd love to hear about that leadership perspective.
Brooks Nuanez here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. I also want to know your perspective on this, because I have no idea. The defense he was in at Portland State, it was pretty unorthodox.
It was
kind of like a flex defense.
It was,
right?
yeah, the flex.
The defense he ran last year at Montana is completely unorthodox. I actually, if they run, let's just assume they're running a more traditional like 4-3 scheme with a Sam, a Mike, and a Will. I actually have no idea what his best skill set is. like there's a part of me that thinks like he's a stand-up Mike, and you just flow him sideline to sideline, and like he's the guy.
It's really hard.
There's also a part of me that thinks that you put him at weak side linebacker, and he's the guy that is the free hitter, and you work your run fit to him, kind of like the old school Tampa 2 that Montana State used to run, and they'd put like the Alex Singletons and Jody Owens in that spot, and he's the guy that the cutback comes here, he flushes you.
He can do all that.
But then I also wonder if he's actually like the strong side guy that you play in space a little bit. I mean, he had 4 picks last year. He's one of the best guys in space in the entire league. So maybe he's like an old school Sam, like Herbert Gamboa, that can actually run with the slot, guard the tight end. I don't know. I've only had 2 years of analyzing him in schemes where he's just, Bam Bam Bigelow blitzing here, going there. I don't know what he does well. So I'm so interested to see what do you think from his skill set.
It's so hard now that you bring it up. He could do all of that. He could play Mike, Sam, or Will. He could also play stand-up edge like Riley Wilson was.
Yes.
Like he could rush off the edge with his hand in the dirt. He could do that. Like he has speed and pop and like can actually move. I think he could do it all. I mean, I think depending on the system that the Grizz implement, I think he'd probably be best at probably either Sam or Will and let things flow back to him. Either set the edge or be the cutback. Obviously, he can play Mike. I just don't know if that will put him in a position to get picks and or blitz and rush the passer. So I do think that putting him on one of the outside spots would probably be the move, even though I think that he'd probably be their best Mike.
Right, totally. So, I think that your analysis is spot on, and it's all going to come down to what do the other guys play best.
Exactly.
If they really are playing like a stand-up edge, like they were doing with Solomon Tuliaupupu and Styles Goodman during spring ball, then Tuliaupupu is that guy. Like that's where
I think you should probably just put him on the edge no matter what.
You just put him on the edge.
Just move him to D end if you have to. But.
Totally, because he's going to be borderline unblockable if you actually give him advantageous one-on-one.
There's no need for him to be in pass coverage ever.
Totally. Yeah. So then it's all about what does Clay Oven do best, or who else emerges from that linebacker group. And I think that's why wing is such a versatile and valuable commodity.
Remind me of the kid, number 29 from, is it Kennesaw State, the transfer? I always mess his last name up.
I'm trying to think of who you're thinking of.
Maybe it's not Kennesaw. Transfer. He played really well in the spring. He was a guy that popped to me. I'll look it up.
Okay. Well, it'd be interesting to see how the linebackers shake out, because I think they know that they got Tuliaupupu. They know they have Peyton Wing, and I think that they're pretty sure they got Clay Oven. But then they have a whole bunch of other guys who could be contributing player. Oh, Justin Eklund,
Justin Eklund, Bowling Green,
and he played a little bit of edge too.
I kind of liked him in the middle though.
He is one of the most wrong I've ever been about a guy.
I agree. When you told me you didn't like him
when they posted his recruiting pictures, he looked like he just didn't have he looked like he didn't have a D1 body. And then you saw him live and in person, you're like, oh, he's 6'3", 235. He's huge, and he runs
he can play
well.
inside. And I liked his ability to get downhill, so I think he could be a contributor inside as well.
No doubt. More from the Big Sky Kickoff next week, but we'll take a break. Come back. Hour number 2 coming your way. Carol and the Two Guys Know Sports. We'll also hear from Adam Gerardo, who's a Missoula Big Sky graduate and now a Montana State Bobcat. It's our latest senior spotlight. That's next. Don't you that dial. Keep it right here. 129 ESPN Radio.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. The entire lineup of top-rated mattress brands are on sale with prices starting at $149 up to top-of-the-line mattresses with lifetime warranties. Get the sleep you deserve with payments starting at $39 a month. Mattress Firm has pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, all on sale too during their biggest 4th of July sale ever. Locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
For Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A former Grizzly who wore Montana's legendary number 37 is returning home to lead a high school program. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Ryan Featherston has been named the head boys wrestling coach at East Helena High School. Although East Helena didn't have his own high school when Featherston was growing up, he starred as a 3-sport athlete at Helena High before signing with the Grizzlies in 2007. He went on to play in more than 50 games at Montana and, while wearing the vaunted number 37 during the 2010 and 2011 seasons, recorded 17.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. Last season, Tim Baird served as the head coach for both the boys and girls wrestling programs at East Helena. Baird will remain as the head coach of the girls team, while Featherston will take over the boys program. Featherston is one of 5 Helena area natives to earn the honor of wearing number 37, joining Helena Capital product Jason Crebo, Caleb Kidder, and Marcus Wellnell, along with Helena High School graduate Andy Pettick. He also becomes one of 2 former number 37s on the East Helena coaching staff. Carson Bender, a Deer Lodge native who wore the jersey before passing it to Featherston in 2010, is the Vigilantes head girls basketball coach. The number 37 tradition began in 1986 when Craig Paulson passed the jersey to Tim Howe. Decades later, both men returned to Montana to coach for the Grizzlies, helping cement one of the program's most celebrated traditions.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. Scorcher in Missoula, but the weekend's right around the corner, and I'm heading to Spokane for Media Days, so it's sort of the last hurrah here, but certainly been fun, and now we're diving into football mode all the way next week. Missed the thing in the first hour of the show, plenty of stuff. Brooks Nuanez hung out for quite some time. I also talk some high school sports as well. You can find all that on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. As always, we're coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They can pick it up from your house a couple times a month. Don't haul it all over town yourself. Let Grizzly Disposal take care of it for you. You want to add the service or make the switch, or both, call 541-7171 or visit grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. As always, you want to stream it, you can, 1029ESPN.com and the ESPN MT app. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Let us know. Shoot us a text. Let us know what you want us to talk about or what conversation points you have, arguments, anything that we got right, anything we got wrong. Let us know. 406-888-1029. We roll on here on this Friday with Carol at Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. How's it going? Thanks for being here.
It's good. I'm just laughing that you would ask people to tell you what we're doing wrong because they're going to tell us.
Well, that's fine. That's good. That's the spirit of talk radio. Do you want to know the best part about it?
What?
All they got is the text message. I got the microphone.
That's true.
So you want to have an argument with me, it's going to be a pretty one-sided argument.
Okay.
But also, I'm not always right. And there's been great opinions that have been shared when I'm wrong, and it promotes conversation as well. So.
I know. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Well, I had a thought. I had actually sort of a revelation. We talked about the WNBA. Well, we talk about the WNBA quite often. But we were having the discussion about all this drama surrounding Caitlin Clark and sort of the, for lack of a better word, violence that has been unleashed upon her, basically, and how much this dominates the WNBA storylines, even though there is so many other things that are going on and so many other players going on. And I keep pressing on, is the WNBA actually being watched more than it ever has been, or is it actually just being followed more than it ever has been? Ticket sales say certainly more people are going to the games. In terms of the actual viewing, I'm not sure, but my revelation was this is actually not dissimilar from the NBA. The NBA has this whole media around it where there's two types of hardcore NBA fans. There's three types of people. There's the NBA hater who thinks the NBA is a shell of itself compared to what it used to be, and they live in the past, and all they want is Michael Jordan, and they want games that are in the 70s and 80s, and they don't acknowledge how good the NBA is now. Then there's the people that actually watch the games and have the league pass, and they turn it on almost every night during the season. Then there's the people, which I think is actually probably the vast majority of NBA fans. They follow it from a podcast and social media perspective, and they don't really watch it even until the playoffs. And that's me. I just follow the podcasters and the social media.
And then back in the day before social media, did you watch Sports Center at night or whatever?
Well, so that's the thing. I think that's the thing that's changed the most about sports. When we have these conversations, like you and I talked about tennis a couple weeks ago, why is tennis not as popular in America? Part of it is, I think, of a lack of a premier American man to lead the way. Women's tennis, I think, is a little bit more, I think a lot more popular in America because there's multiple women that are sort of amongst the best. But it's the evolution of and sort of the gravitation away from SportsCenter.
Yeah, maybe we need to bring SportsCenter back.
Because you used to just watch SportsCenter.
Is SportsCenter still on?
It's still on, but it's made it into way more of it's like SportsCenter at night with Scott Van Pelt is very similar to this show.
Okay.
He just has guests on, whatever game was on ESPN, then those people just do interviews with SBP right away, and he has other guests that come in. It's like a talk show.
Yeah, it used to be like a news show.
It literally
was
30 minutes, and here it is. Here's your highlights, and those guys were so good at making the highlights. But then you're just a kid sitting there watching it, and you know everything that happened in baseball, basketball, football, all that. So that's very interesting. But it is interesting, too, that the WNBA, I was sort of cynical about it, but now I realize it's actually pretty much the same as the NBA. You can follow the WNBA and all the drama in it without watching a single game.
Right.
And you can still know what's going on. It's very similar to how the NBA is, especially during the regular season.
Well, people are watching the WNBA. Their numbers had increased substantially. However, their numbers were at zero, basically. So to double, the 50 people watching is, I had a very good bet with my husband about this because he did not think that the ratings would double, and they more than doubled.
Sure.
And it was a really funny bet, but because he couldn't believe it. And I just said, I'm telling you, people are watching it.
I will just keep on saying that the number one thing they could do is just move to real basketball season.
Yes.
It's just so hard.
Yes.
Who wants to sit and watch basketball in July? Nobody. Right. I mean, I guess some people do, but it's not the right season. Baseball is so much more applicable to this time of year because it's an outside sport.
And you would go to a game and sit outside and
have a great time.
Yes. Have 9 hot dogs and 9 beers and 9 innings.
That's the funniest part about all these rule changes in baseball is that it has made the television viewing way better.
Right.
It's made the in-person viewing way worse.
Yeah.
Because when you want to sit down and watch a game, having it take 2 hours and 20 minutes is great. When you want to go to a game, having it last 4 hours is awesome. You don't want it to last. Last time I went to a pro game, I went to a Brewers game, and it was a complete pitcher's duel, and there was only 6 hits in the whole game. And I had only had like 2 beers, and I was like, it's time to go? What? This is already over? Like, we wanted to make a whole day of it. The game lasted like less than 2 hours.
I mean, that works much better for me.
Yeah, well, sure.
I can't deal with a 4-hour anything. That's just...
A 4-hour anything.
No, thank you. Except sleep, maybe.
All right, Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. All right, what do you got this week?
Well, since we're talking about baseball, I'm going to start with baseball. Joshua Kuroda Graves of the Athletics, he's a rookie.
Okay.
Has his first home game this week.
Okay. Is he a pitcher? Or
he's a shortstop.
Okay, he's got called up or something?
He's at bat.
Okay.
However that works.
However that...
I don't know.
Yeah, stand at the plate. Okay.
Stand at the plate.
Yeah.
Hits the ball right into his own balls.
Oh, boy.
So bad, he falls over.
Yeah.
It's really bad. He gets back up, hits a single. Great. Does great. His first game. Turns out his testicle exploded.
No.
Yes. He has to have surgery for an exploded testicle.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't they wear cups?
It's a great question, actually. The catchers do.
Well, yeah.
Like always. It's such an interesting deal when you're a baseball player because cups are uncomfortable and baseball is so hot this time of year.
You don't want to have that.
And like running with a cup is cumbersome.
How have they not invented a better cup situation?
I've thought about this extensively since I was a catcher because I would always like have the cup on when I'm catching, but then when I would hit, I didn't want to run with it. So then you're in and out, and then it's like that's weird. It's awkward.
Yeah, you're just like sticking your hand down your pants in the middle of the game.
It's like, what is going on? I agree. I don't know how that we don't have a better situation here.
Well, I just maybe
that's our $1 million
idea. Yeah. A soft cup.
Man.
I don't know. I mean, also when you're at bat, you could get nailed in the area by the pitcher.
You could.
And then you've got more than an exploded testicle.
Oh, if you got hit square,
you'd have an exploded wiener.
Everything would be not good with how hard these guys throw. Yeah, no,
you would end up like a Ken doll, just flat in the front.
Oh man.
So that's why I think they should. I get the running thing. That would be difficult to run in a cup.
Yeah.
But like there's got to be something.
Yeah, I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
This happened to one of my best friends when we were in middle school. It was a football injury.
An exploded testicle?
And it was like unbelievable.
Does he have children now?
He doesn't. Actually, but by choice, I think.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, we called him Colonel Flatballs. That was so mean of us as 7th graders. I don't even know if we could say that on the radio, but we did. I feel bad for this guy. I actually think about this a lot. It was actually really amazing that given how fast the pitchers throw and also how hard the hitters hit that fast pitch, that people don't get messed up way more.
I know.
Like fouling it off their legs or their feet or, a sharp foul ball. I'm so surprised people in the stands, especially now that everybody just sits on their phone all the time. I'm so surprised people in the stands don't just get absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll hit foul balls down the left field line. That thing's going like 120 miles per hour.
I wonder, well, a lot of people have gloves, right? Ring gloves. But yeah, that would not be pleasant to be hit by that.
Yeah. Did you see, this is like probably a month that you probably didn't see this, but there was this couple. I can't remember what stadium it was. I think maybe Pittsburgh. They had tickets to their game to go on a little date night, but they read the date wrong. So they showed up on Friday night, even though their tickets were for Saturday. And so they were already there. So they're like, well, let's just get tickets. And so the seats that they had for Saturday were also available for Friday. So they just bought those ones. They went to the game. Home run, guy catches the home run. Next night, they're like, well, we still have tickets. Let's just go again. Sit in the same seats. Home run, guy catches the home run. Same seat, home run twice.
Hilarious.
How crazy is that?
They should go buy a lottery ticket.
Like the odds of that are just insane.
Yeah.
That could even be possible.
Stay out of lightning or go buy a lottery ticket.
Indeed. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here on ESPN Radio. What else you got this week?
What's Fanatics Fest? Is that just a football thing?
I have no idea.
So I guess last weekend was Fanatics Fest, and there was all these pro football people there. I really thought you were going to know this, but
no idea.
Tom Brady.
It's crazy how much stuff I don't know anymore.
And Logan Paul were on stage at Fanatics Fest. They're beefing. I don't know if you remember back when they were going to have that flag football game in Saudi Arabia, and they were beefing then because Logan Paul thought he could beat Tom Brady in football or something. Yeah. So the beef continues, and Tom Brady slapped Logan Paul. Open hand slap, like a straight chick slap. Like he slaps like a girl.
This has to be fake,
It's
right?
clearly fake. So then they were seen at the World Cup, and there's video of Tom Brady just flipping off Logan Paul, like all as mad as I mean, he looked so dumb when he's mad. Turns out WrestleMania is happening in Vegas in a couple months. So there's rumors that there is some WWE TB12 collab.
Oh, good.
Now, can you see Tom Brady going out in like little undies and wrestling?
Gosh.
Like, what are we thinking here?
So the new-ish Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix it's very good, and I know Hulk Hogan had a ton of skeletons in his closet, especially the last 10 years of his life. But it's very fair. They talk about all that. It's not just a glorification of Hulk Hogan. And they basically had sit-down interviews with him all the way up until right before he died. They were making this documentary not knowing that he was going to die, and then he dies at the end of it. It's just this crazy ending. But they were showing clips because there was like this moment in time where a lot of the NBA guys were like going on WWF, like Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman. And Karl Malone in a basketball jersey, again, alongside NBA guys, looks like Hercules. He looks like He-Man. Then when you put him next to like Hulk Hogan, and
was he like skinny?
He looks so skinny.
Really?
I mean, he's like half the size of these guys.
That's
And
so
Karl Malone
funny.
is like 6'8",
Huge.
6'9", and he looks like a little person next to like Andre the Giant and Diesel and Hulk Hogan and all those old school guys. Anyways, I can't imagine what Tom Brady's little 190-pound self would look like
It's just
next to the WWE guys.
I feel like it would just be so lame. Like, I don't know. There's rumors also that he's not going to do the wrestling. Gronk is going to do the wrestling, where I'm like, okay, you're not helping yourself here, Tom. At least do the wrestling yourself.
Are you surprised that more former pro athletes haven't gone the way of Michael Jordan and just keep to yourself? Like the legend of Michael Jordan like has stayed because he has not been like he did one documentary that he produced and like other than that, he's just out.
I think I'm blaming it all on social media and like the fame, the hunger of fame. Like, I think that generation, because you don't really see Dennis Rodman out, you don't really see Scottie Pippen out, right?
Sure,
like they're not really doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like this generation of people just want to stay relevant.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
If you want to be like Shaq or whatever and go on TV and like actually talk basketball, that's fine. That's actually cool.
Yeah.
If you're good at it. But these guys that are just like continuing to milk the fame, it's just so weird. It's just going to look. Tom Brady is still recent enough that it's still relevant.
Yeah.
But he's just going to look so lame if he keeps doing this.
I mean, you need to see the video of him slapping Logan Paul. It is. I was like, what is happening? It looked. It just was so weird.
You know, though, I actually think your boy Aaron Rodgers, I think when he's done, he will just be gone.
I agree.
He'll just be out.
He will be at a darkness retreat. He will be on ayahuasca.
He'll be living in South America, and he'll resurface like 15 years later. Like, where did Aaron Rodgers go? There he'll be.
He'll be with Brittany, his wife.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
His alien wife. By the way, I don't have all the details, but Aaron Rodgers and his family have reconciled.
Whoa.
There were pictures this weekend of him with his mom and dad.
Whoa.
So I'm very happy to hear that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder what spurred that on.
I don't know, but made me happy.
Still so hard to wrap my mind around that he still plays and that he's going to play for Pittsburgh. And
he'll play for one game and hurt something.
Maybe.
That's my prediction.
Very enlightening interview yesterday, by the way, with Dr. Tim Durkin from Missoula Sports Medicine. We played this on Thursdays. You can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. But we talked, Missoula Sports Medicine is going to come in about once a month. We're just going to talk about various sports injuries. But we talked about Aaron Rodgers because we were sort of comparing and contrasting him with some of these other young athletes that have torn their Achilles. And Dr. Durkin made a good point. He was talking about how, like, I mean, a 26-year-old NBA player and then a 41-year-old NFL player are not created equal. Like, it's not that surprising that Aaron Rodgers is getting hurt comparatively to the guys that are in their 20s. That is sort of surprising. So go check that interview out. I thought it was very informative.
I mean, I get out of bed wrong and I'm hurt. I can't, you know, like I can't imagine how he's going to do it. But you know what? I'll stop being ageist.
Well, The other part is like you just have the ability to take care of yourself at so much higher of a level now, especially if you're that rich.
Yeah.
You're probably feeling pretty good if you get a massage every day and
get that PRP, whatever stuff.
Rodgers has got it all going on. Same thing with LeBron. Where do you think LeBron's going? He's like making everybody wait still. He's still just chilling.
No one knows, but I guess the Cavs and someone else are really trying to sweeten the deal. Not the Cavs, they're actually the cities. Like there's golf courses in Cleveland. Like we'll give you a free membership. Well, this or that. I'm like he needs a free membership.
The golf course thing is hilarious.
Yes.
Stuff. LeBron has found golf late in his life, and now he's just like the rest of us. He's addicted to it.
Not me.
And now he's talking about like potentially using golf as There's a lot of rumors that he maybe wants to go to Phoenix because that's the best and easiest place to play golf year round.
Interesting.
Which is like you're saying. It's just so funny though. Like you're LeBron.
Yeah.
You can go golf
anywhere
you want, whenever you want. It's like it's all good. You can get a membership wherever. So imagine if LeBron has joined your club, though.
I know, that would be crazy.
All of a sudden, he's just sitting over there having a Arnold Palmer. You're like, LeBron, you want to go play some?
I feel like if you were at a really high-end golf club in a big city like LA, Phoenix, you're going to be rubbing elbows with all sorts of LeBron, like all sorts of people of that caliber.
Yeah.
I will not be there. I'm clearly not at that level, but and you know what? I don't like to golf.
You don't?
I like to go to the driving range, but I don't.
Too long for you?
I don't know. I went last year with some friends and it was pretty fun, but like I'm not good. I don't have good clubs. Like I don't know. But I love to go hit the ball. Like I go to the golf course all the time and just hit the driving range, and it's a blast.
Very good.
Anyway.
Nuanez Now 129 ESPN Radio. Carolyn Chico Sports joining us. All right, what else you got this week?
All right, so SMU.
Yep.
You know, they've got all the money in the world for their players.
They do.
They did something that I'm wondering if this is going to be the new norm.
Okay.
They named their new athletic recovery center after their current quarterback, Kevin Jennings.
Whoa.
He had one more year of eligibility, and they really wanted to keep him. I don't know if he's obviously good, but like, I don't know. He probably had millions and millions and millions of dollars thrown at him.
I'm sure.
And they said, we'll name this recovery center after you. Now, I don't know if they're going to just change that name every year. Like, you know, like the next QB. Yeah. Or if there's like a, 10-year deal or, I mean, I don't know if this guy's going to go pro. He's hoping to win the Heisman. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah,
that is definitely one of the most desperate and rich fan bases for sure. Yeah, it's so wild to think about, like how SMU has always been rich and how they've always been throwing money at players and how they got in trouble more than anybody in the history of college sports for this years ago when this used to be illegal. It's almost like it's their dream come true because they were like quote unquote cheating forever, and now it's not cheating anymore. Now
they can just be out in the open with it.
It's pretty interesting. Well, Dr. Durkin got his undergraduate at Vanderbilt, and he was talking about that same thing. Vanderbilt was always awful because they're in the SEC with Alabama and Florida and Ole Miss and all these schools that have such prestige and tradition, but then also Vanderbilt's like 100 times harder than those schools, so they always have these academic deals. Well, Vanderbilt also has one of the richest alumni bases in all of college athletics. So now that you can pay players, they're all in. They're all good, and now they're really good. So it's interesting to see how that all evolves. Okay. All this stuff's so messed up. Mm-hmm. We teaser coming up. We did a little NIL thing yesterday. We'll leave it at that so we can let it brew a little bit. But I was sitting there with a couple of the Grizz guys that we were doing some content with, and I was thinking, I was like, this is what NIL is supposed to be about.
Exactly.
Like they're just at the press box eating a free hamburger. Like. They just did an hour-long photo shoot. Like, that's it. Like, it's not. They're not getting a recovery room. They're not getting millions of dollars. They're getting a couple bucks and some hamburgers. Like, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it should be. Totally. That's what I'm 100% down with. This whole thing it's turned into is just so gross.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a barbecue last night, and a couple of my buddies were asking me all about the ins and outs of this, and their minds were just blown.
Yeah.
So I was telling them that there isn't contracts in this, and they're like, "How can that be? Like, how can a guy make $1 million without a contract?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but it happens." But the other part is that people get offered millions of dollars without a contract, and then sometimes they just never get paid.
Which that's crazy too.
It is totally
it's
crazy.
All insane.
We're going to regret it someday. Yep. At least I think we are.
I think people already do.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've only like fringely heard of this person from SMU, but I can't proclaim that I follow SMU football that much. They have been okay. They've been pretty good lately.
I guess he's great. I mean, obviously he's great. And the comments on Instagram were like, this is deserved. He's this, he's that. So I don't know, but what do I know? Nothing.
Chicken doesn't know sports.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got this week?
A last really cute, sweet story that I literally got teary-eyed.
Oh, wow. Don't cry on the radio.
I won't.
Or on the TV.
So this kid, he's probably 12, 13, 14, I don't know. And he posts on Instagram. His name's J_Christopher. I just wanted, because you guys should go look at this. It's so cute.
Okay.
He's in the field and practicing some football moves. And he says, I'd really love some football tips from anyone. Anyone can give me tips. Mm-hmm. Barry Sanders, Jake Curhan, Creed Humphrey, Robert Griffin III, Walter Jones, and more. Like people, like all of these professional football players commented.
Wow, that's cool.
You know, like do this, do that. You're doing great. I know I'm going to hear your name in the NFL draft someday. Like. It was like, I get chills talking about it. It was so sweet that these guys all just like, and this boy was like, oh my gosh, Barry Sanders, thank you, and it was the cutest thing. So everyone should go look at that. It's so cute, and give this kid like the best feedback, because it'll be amazing when he is drafted one day, or if he was drafted one day and he gets to like talk about this. Yeah. It was so cute. So
very cool.
Check it out. That's my feel good story of the day.
I love it. Walter Jones, how much time have you spent in Seattle?
I've been there once.
Okay, so do you remember like at certain, like downtown Seattle especially is really hilly?
Yes.
So Walter Jones, when the peak of his career when he played for the Seahawks, he was famous for this. He had like a big Yukon, like a huge SUV, and he would put it in neutral and then push it up the hills. That
for his workout?
That was like his workout.
That's risky.
It is. When you're 6'8" and 350 pounds like him, it's not as risky. But yes, he was famous for that workout.
I'm such a mom. I'm like, he could hurt himself or others.
Well, he made himself into a first ballot Hall of Famer. So
okay,
definitely one of the best. But that's a great story.
It's
very
really
cool.
Cute. Everyone should go to Instagram, J_Christopher. Prop him up, because that takes a lot of guts to go on social media and ask. And kids are mean. And man, he got the best positive feedback. It was awesome.
Well, very cool. Good feel good story of the week. Thanks for bringing it and making us happy. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports, probably presented by Hot House Yoga. You've been going to the Hot House?
I have not made it this week. My dang 16-year-old is staying out too late. It's summer, and I'm trying to be cool, but I can't get up at 5:15 when he gets home at 11.
Hey,
I have to be in bed by 10 on those nights.
I get it. At least he comes home at 11.
Well, he has a curfew.
That's good.
Yes.
I mean, usually when you get 16 or 17, you start blowing through that pretty quick. I'm glad he still obeys.
He is. Good. He's a good boy.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I saw when I was playing in the country club member guest tournament last weekend, the river goes right by hole 17. And certainly there was 2 people on paddleboards that have been doing paddleboard yoga, because they were like doing it themselves as
while they're
down the river. I was like, they learned that at Hot House. I know they did.
Actually, next week I think I'm going to hit up a paddleboard class, because it's going to be like 95. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be a good week to do it.
Well, appreciate Hot House Yoga for their continued support. They are located downtown Missoula. You can check them out on their website, or you can find them on the Mind Body app. It's a great place to unwind, but also get a good sweat, and it's very functional fitness training as well. So check them out. It's an awesome place in downtown Missoula. Thanks for swinging by this week.
Thanks.
Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Keep on talking high school football. We got a senior spotlight on the other side. One of the best players from Missoula, who's headed to the Montana State Bobcats, will be our guest. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Missoula.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A former Grizzly who wore Montana's legendary number 37 is returning home to lead a high school program. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. Ryan Featherston has been named the head boys wrestling coach at East Helena High School. Although East Helena didn't have his own high school when Featherston was growing up, he starred as a three-sport athlete at Helena High before signing with the Grizzlies in 2007. He went on to play in more than 50 games at Montana and, while wearing the vaunted number 37 during the 2010 and 2011 seasons, recorded 17.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. Last season, Tim Baird served as the head coach for both the boys and girls wrestling programs at East Helena. Baird will remain as the head coach of the girls team, while Featherston will take over the boys program. Featherston is one of 5 Helena area natives to earn the honor of wearing number 37, joining Helena Capital product Jason Crebo, Caleb Kidder, and Marcus Wellnell, along with Helena High School graduate Andy Pettick. He also becomes one of 2 former number 37s on the East Helena coaching staff. Carson Bender, a Deer Lodge native who wore the jersey before passing it to Featherston in 2010, is the Vigilantes head girls basketball coach. The number 37 tradition began in 1986 when Craig Paulson passed the jersey to Tim Howe. Decades later, both men returned to Montana to coach for the Grizzlies, helping cement one of the program's most celebrated traditions.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Nuanez Now coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They can pick it up at your house a couple times a month. Don't be hauling it all over town. Let's let Grizzly Disposal take care of it for you. You want to add the service or make the switch or both? Call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. LeBron James on the move. Brooks Nuanez and I recorded yesterday, so this move had not happened. So I did not get a chance to ask him about it in hour number 1. Carolyn and the Chicken Dozen Sports and I also recorded yesterday, so this did not happen on Thursday, but this just went down the pipe on Friday afternoon. And Philly was a spot that had been talked about a little bit, but there was a little bit of question where, you know, maybe LeBron maybe he goes back to Cleveland, you know, where you know he goes home. Maybe he ends up in San Antonio on one of the up and coming teams in the NBA, or maybe he goes back to Miami. There was also thoughts maybe they get the old folks home going in Golden State, and he ends up with Steph Curry and a couple other, veteran players. But instead, he's headed to the city of brotherly love. LeBron has such an interesting, like, quote-unquote brand, but so does Philadelphia. So it's so weird to think of him in Philly, right? Like, you can imagine LeBron, certainly for all the teams that he's played for, Cleveland Cavaliers twice, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not that crazy to imagine him in an Atlanta Hawks uniform or a New York Knicks uniform or a Chicago Bulls uniform. It's not even that crazy to imagine him in like a Detroit Pistons uniform. It is pretty crazy to imagine him in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. And I don't really know why that is, but it is. It is a weird deal to imagine. this is obviously a huge move, but also one that comes with a lot of intrigue because not only the roster that he's joining, Philadelphia's had arguably the most successful offseason of any NBA team, trading for Jaylen Brown, who's an all-NBA player, and signing LeBron James. But there's also a ton of intrigue here, too, because it's very clear what LeBron wants out of this, and that is a championship, or maybe multiple championships. But that also then puts an insane amount of pressure on this situation, because when you have Joel Embiid, a former MVP, you have LeBron James, a multiple-time MVP and a perennial all-NBA player. You have Tyrese Maxey, who is a rising star, and I'd say just a star, period, like a solidified, bona fide star. I mean, that's a pretty good place to start. And then you add LeBron James, one of the great players in the history of basketball, and now you got four. But that comes with a ton of pressure, right? Now, it is no question championship or bust for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. I mean, I think that's my number one take, is that it's championship or bust in Philly, period. I'm trying to think if this is going to work or not. So much of this is just going to depend on the luck that comes down the pipe from this, right? Can Joel Embiid stay healthy? Like, is he actually going to be able to put together healthy seasons or a healthy season period? Can he be able to be at the height of his powers when the playoffs roll around? That has been a gigantic challenge for him. Jaylen Brown, he's a very outspoken guy. He's a really, really good player. I thought what he did with the Celtics this last year, I mean, he dragged them to 56 wins. They were supposed to be a 500 team. Their over-under win total at the beginning of the year was 41.5, exactly 500. They exceeded their over-under win total by 15 wins, with Jason Tatum out for most of the year. But Jaylen Brown has been a guy that has a sort of a mercurial personality, sort of a enigmatic personality. I, for one, think he's a brilliantly smart dude and a really, really, really fun guy to listen to talk, and I think he thinks about the world in a great way. But there's also been some pretty good evidence that maybe he is not tough to get along with, but like, I don't think it's a coincidence that in Boston they won a championship, yet Jaylen Brown said openly he thought this was his favorite season. Is that because he didn't have to share the spotlight with Jason Tatum? Is that because he got to sort of be the man himself? Is that because he got more the lion's share of the credit? And then how do they all fit together, right? And the other thing is, like, how do they orbit around LeBron? Like, Joel Embiid's used to be in the center of the universe. Jaylen Brown, it seems, is very adamant about being the center of his own universe. That's sort of tried and true. LeBron has always been the center of the NBA universe for 23 years, since he was the number one overall pick way back in 2003. I think that these guys can play together from a basketball perspective, but can they coexist? Philly's now going to be one of the epicenters of the NBA as well, and that's what comes with the territory when you require a guy like LeBron James. So how does Philadelphia handle the fact now that everybody's going to say this is a championship or bust? When it comes to the East, I mean, the Pistons were the number one seed, but they showed in the playoffs that they're just not quite ready. The Knicks are the defending champions. It's crazy to think that, like, the Knicks is the defending champions with everybody coming back are probably not the favorites to win the East, just because of the way that this trade is going to impact the betting markets. So how do they handle that pressure? LeBron's used to that. I don't know if Embiid is. I think Jaylen Brown's a little bit used to it too. Celtics had a lot of success with him and Jason Tatum. So he's probably a little bit accustomed to it. But it's been a really long time. I mean, I don't know if Philadelphia has ever been the epicenter of the NBA. Maybe in the early 1980s when they had Moses Malone and Charles Barkley and Julius Erving. I guess Dr. J and Moses won a championship before Barkley got there. But even then, it was still probably the Celtics and the Lakers ahead of Philadelphia, right? Maybe back in the 60s when Wilt Chamberlain was there years and years ago. But this is sort of a new experience for their franchise, too. So the other interesting part about this deal is that LeBron took a gigantic pay cut. not as if he needs money. I mean, he's been making $50+ million a year for several years in a row now. And, of course, his off-the-court pursuits have made him one of the few athletes in the history of this country and of this world to be a billionaire with a B. But he's taken 2 years, $8 million, which I think is indicative to the humility he's showing with this, but also the fact that he's truly doing this to enhance his legacy from a championship-winning perspective. LeBron James on Twitter today, X, he wrote, "I thought I was done when the season ended. I wasn't ready to announce it, and I knew I needed some time to really decide, but I was pretty sure I'd played my last game. I was honest at that last press conference when I said I need to look at myself and decide if I still love this game. I still truly do love this game, and I have more to give. The last few weeks have been really special. I've never been able to have no clue what to do and take the time to really just think. I've had an incredible few months with all the people I love trying to figure it all out. This is my last decision. I'm not going for money. I'm not going for family. What am I really playing for at this point? I still want the sacrifice. I still want to work. I still want to grind. I still want to compete, to win, and have a chance at feeling that feeling of winning another championship. I believe I can help make the 76ers a championship team, and I'm so excited to energize a new fan base and start this incredible journey one last time. Thank you, LA. Miami, I'll forever love you, and Northeast Ohio will always be home." And then he signs off the Kings. That's LeBron James on X today after the bombshell that he is going to the Philadelphia 76ers. What do you think of this fit? 406-888-1029. We'll probably hash this out a little bit more next week with either Brooks Nuanez or Ryan Tutell or both. But that's the bombshell in the NBA today. LeBron James headed to the city of brotherly love to play for the Philadelphia 76ers. Nuanez Now 129 ESPN Radio. We'll take you home on the other side. Don't change that dial.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. Save up to $1,000 off top-rated Tempur-Pedic, or save hundreds off Purple mattresses and premium adjustable bases. Save up to 50% on top-of-the-line mattresses, all backed by their 365-day guarantee. See store for details. It's their biggest 4th of July sale ever at your locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX by 10 television, and the ESPN MT app. Appreciate you for hanging out with us here on this Friday. As always, coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned. The only bears that should be in your garbage. We got to plenty of stuff today. Everything from NFL and the Rams as the betting Super Bowl favorites with the first odds out on Sportsbet Montana to other NFL conversations. We also talked some Big Sky Conference football. We also heard from Carol, the chicken doesn't know sports. Brooks Nuanez, of course, anchoring the first hour with us. We also talked a little bit LeBron to Philadelphia as well. That news came down this afternoon. We had some of the stuff already recorded yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to ask those fine folks about it, but we'll certainly touch on that again next week as well. And had a whole bunch of fun, so appreciate you for hanging out with us here. Hope you're having a great week and have good plans coming up for the weekend. I'm going to the Big Sky Kickoff in Spokane. They moved it to Northern Quest Casino, which is certainly it's a double-edged sword. I love playing cards, but it's also hard to stay up late and then go do as much work as we have to do on Sunday and Monday. So we'll walk the straight and narrow as much as we can, but certainly going to be an interesting weekend, I should say, with everybody in the Big Sky Conference in the same room. So that was sort of the anchor point of this week. You can check it all out on the Nuanez Now podcasts from throughout the week. So please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. I have been trying to do as much sort of today in sports history because it's just fun trips down memory lane, right? So here's a couple of good ones from July 24th from over the years. One of the most iconic highlights in baseball history is the eruption from George Brett, probably the greatest Kansas City Royal of all time, certainly one of the best players of his generation and a Hall of Famer. With 2 outs in the ninth inning, Brett appeared to blast what appeared to be a go-ahead 2-run home run off Goose Gossage of the New York Yankees. But Yankees manager Billy Martin asked the umpires to inspect Brett's bat, and they claim that there's too much pine tar on it. This leads to Brett having one of the craziest explosions you'll ever see. Brett gets called out, the home run gets wiped off the board, and he goes nuts. He explodes, and I mean, it is one of the most iconic meltdowns ever. And it's funny because George Brett is like a very affable, well-liked guy, but the pine tar game and the pine tar meltdown is like... If it happened, it's crazy because it happened in 1983 and it still went like quote unquote viral, even though this is years before the internet even existed. So that was a fun one. Another one I found is that we talked yesterday about how Tiger Woods, today in sports history on July 23rd, he set up the British Open with he shot 19 under that week in St. Andrews. He did not hit a single bunker. It's why they consider one of the great performances in the history of major championship golf. Well, today, July 24th, that was in 2000. July 24th, he won the 2005 British Open. This was his second British Open championship at St. Andrews. He finished 5 shots clear of Colin Montgomery. This is when Colin Montgomery was really trying to grind it out to become like a true peer of Tiger's, and then he just never quite got there. This was one of the most heartbreaking losses for him because he's a guy that's, he's from the UK. It would have been a huge win for him, obviously, to beat Tiger, but also to win in his homeland. But Tiger, he played smart that week. He barely used his driver all week, almost exclusively used irons. And at that exact moment, there's just no way you'd ever think that Tiger Woods would not surpass Jack Nicklaus for the all-time majors record. At that exact moment, I believe Tiger Woods was 28 years old, and he had already won his 10th major championship. He was more than halfway home to Jack's record of 18 majors. But then we all know what happened over the next several years, from injuries to personal problems, and it's all well chronicled. But at that moment, everybody thought that Tiger Woods was going to obliterate Jack Nicklaus's major championship record. But that was not the case. Another one I found July 24th. This is the same day, 2005. Tiger Woods won the British that day. Also, though, Michael Phelps won his very first gold medal. He went on to become a 23-time gold medal winner. But in 2005, he won the 400-meter individual medley at the World Championships in Montreal. That was his first world championship type of gold. And then, of course, he went to the Olympics and had so many other great stretches 3 years later in Beijing. I mean, that's one of the most iconic Olympic performances ever when he won 8 gold medals. But it sort of all started right around this time, about 22 years ago. Also today, Walter Payton's birthday. Sweetness was born on July 24th, 1954, and he certainly was taken from us much too soon. But, it's a great argument. I think that the argument for who's the greatest basketball player of all time, it's only, 1, 2, 3, or 4 guys along, depending on, how you evaluate like Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and maybe Wilt Chamberlain too, alongside Michael Jordan and LeBron James. The argument for who's the greatest running back of all time, you can make a case for a lot. Walter Payton, one of them. Barry Sanders for sure. Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown, Adrian Peterson, Eric Dickerson. I mean, O.J. Simpson in his prime has to be somebody that's at least mentioned. Maybe Marcus Allen might sneak into the conversation as well. I did not have a chance to watch Walter Payton, but he held the NFL rushing record when he retired, 16,726 yards. And he's certainly somebody that has been a huge part of FCS history because he played at a Division I AA school and the what was essentially the Heisman Trophy of the football championship subdivision is named after him, the Walter Payton Award. Who do you think? 406-888-1029. Who's the greatest running back of all time? The 2 greatest running backs I have seen in my lifetime, I think, are Barry Sanders and Adrian Peterson. Emmitt Smith is very good, but Emmitt Smith also benefited from being on great teams with great offensive lines. But I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would tell you that Walter Payton has got to be the answer or at least a leading candidate, certainly. So happy birthday, Walter Payton. He passed away much too young. But today was the day that he was born. Other fun stuff that happened on July 24th. The Berlin Olympics back in 1936. They began this day, and this is the Olympics that made Jesse Owens an unforgettable icon in the world of sports. Owens, of course, was an African American competing for Team USA, and then he went to Berlin when Germany was being ruled by Hitler and the Nazis, and he won 4 gold medals right in front of Hitler, and it was the ultimate display of sort of thwarting the propaganda and lies and racism that the Nazis had perpetuated all across that part of Europe, and certainly an unforgettable, no question, performance in the history of sport. Last one from today in sports history, July 24th, 1987. Don Mattingly, who's now the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, he hit his 6th Grand Slam of the season, which broke Lou Gehrig's previous Major League Baseball record. Mattingly, of course, was playing for the New York Yankees at the time. Crazy enough, though, Don Mattingly never hit another Grand Slam after that. He hit his 6th Grand Slam of the season, and it made him one of the all-time leaders in career Grand Slams as well. And then he never hit another Grand Slam. So pretty wild to consider that, certainly. We only have a couple minutes left, but you probably heard it in the Sports Center, but pretty cool to highlight that Ryan Featherston is the new head wrestling coach at East Helena. Featherston, East Helena didn't have a high school for a long time, but Featherston always made sure people knew that he was from East Helena, not Helena, even though he went to Helena High. That's always been a fun quirk of his. But he was the number 37 for the Grizz in 2011, was a great player for the Grizz. He's been coaching football in that area for a while. He coached the Helena Capital, I know. But he was a great wrestler in high school, too, so I think it's a good hire. This is also a fun little tidbit. The East Helena now has 2 former number 37s as coaches there. Carson Bender, who gave 37 to Ryan Featherston, he was a number 37 as well, and is now the girls' basketball coach there at East Helena, doing a good job there, too. So kind of fun to watch some of these new high schools rise up. East Helena and Lockwood are 2 of the more interesting ones to me because of just where they're located, just right outside some of the bigger metropolitan areas in the state of Montana. But 37s have had some coaching lineage too. It's certainly at the beginning. There's those 2 guys, but then of course Craig Paulson, who was the first 37 way back in 1983 to 1986, and then Tim Houck, who was the first guy who was bestowed the jersey He also went on to be a great coach. Paulson, of course, coached for the Grizz, coached at UNLV with Bobby Hauck. More recently, coached at Sac State, has been at Southern Illinois the last couple of years. And Tim Hauck, of course, has coached for his alma mater multiple times over under his brother's leadership, but also coached for UCLA, coached in the NFL, has a Super Bowl ring with the Philadelphia Eagles. So at least 4 of the 17 37s have gone into coaching, so that's pretty cool. I sort of consider this the 40th anniversary of the 37 tradition, and probably the 37th anniversary of when it actually became a tradition, with Paulson giving it to Hauck. So we're certainly going to do some stuff to sort of remember. It's a big year for anniversaries, right? It's the 40th anniversary of Washington Grizzly Stadium. In my opinion, the 40th anniversary of number 37. It's also the 50th anniversary of the 1976 Montana State Bobcats when they won the national championship as well. So those will be cool and fun things to commemorate and memorialize and give us some stuff to talk about, certainly. It has arrived. Football is here. We'll have plenty of stuff for you coming out of the Big Sky kickoff. We will come to you live from Spokane on Monday. We'll hear from Brent Began, Bobby Kennedy, Samuel Kim, and whoever else we can squeeze into the show there on Monday. And we'll see you back in studio on Tuesday. In the meantime, have a great weekend and be good. Appreciate you for being here. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.